Oh, shoot. I didn't mean to push live yet, but I'm live. Live and on the air in 2020. I feel like when I say that, I'm like in the future, but it's not the future anymore. It's the present. I mean, I was born in the 70s. Okay, for real, I was born in 1979. I like saying I was born in the 70s when really I saw about like what? I saw like 8 months of the 70s. Then it was the 80s. But nonetheless, it's 2020. It feels like the future. It feels like we should be flying cars, and it feels like we should have like jets and cars by now, but we don't. Good morning, everybody. Notifications are going out. Satellites are linking up. People are at work right now going, oh crap, Dad, with the phone's on. Man, I've gotten some of the coolest messages over the last few days of new listeners, of people who are saying, I just found you a week ago, or I just saw your first podcast 2 days ago, and I've gone back and watched a bunch of different stuff. And so it has been, it's been cool to have some new listeners come in. And I got some great new ideas for actually this month. Probably, hopefully, this next week, I'm going to have some really fun guests on. It's not necessarily going to be in the true crime genre, but we'll tie it in there. We'll tie it in there somehow. We'll tie it in there for all you true crime junkies. You know what I've noticed? All the cool true crime podcasters and YouTubers, they've all kind of turned into like drama YouTubers now. Like when I first started this a year ago and we started covering all these cases, there were like a bunch of true crime people on YouTube where I could go find out about different cases by going to YouTube. But now it seems like all those true crime people, all that true crime genre has turned into nothing but freaking drama. A drama YouTube. So Ashley says, I'm a new follower. There you go. There are a lot of new followers. There's a lot of new people that have joined in. So thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Ashley, for joining in and being a new follower on Facebook. And if you're watching on Facebook, thank you for joining Facebook on Dad with a Phone. If you're also watching on YouTube, thanks for being on YouTube. And so Northern California is in the house. So good morning to everybody. So this next few weeks, we're going to have a couple of sweet guests on. I am literally working out the schedule with them right now. I'm not going to allow them to get away any longer. I've been postponing. I've been putting it off for one reason or another, but we've got some really great guests we're going to sit down and talk with. And so that's going to be fun. The other thing is a lot of the couple of cases that I've been following, there are a few key things that are going to happen this month. So hopefully by the end of the month, January 28th at 9 a.m., Krystal Kenney, she has changed her name. It used to be Krystal Lee Kenney. Now it is officially Krystal Jean Kenney. Convicted felon Krystal Jean Kenney will go to sentencing, which means she will be sentenced for her part in the Kelsey Barrett murder. Now, I want to explain something because I get a lot of backlash about calling her a convicted murderer. I get a lot of backlash. People are like, she didn't murder anyone. She only tampered with evidence. And I want you to understand something. That is not true at all. She did a lot more than tamper with evidence. This is what she pled to. This was the deal of the century. This was the Cyber Monday deal. This was them having to make a deal, quote Dan May, with the devil so that they could get the guy who swung the bat. But according to Kelsey's mother, Cheryl Barrett, Krystal Lee Kenney is guilty of murdering Kelsey Barrett. She just didn't swing the bat. I want people to understand that just because she pled to tampering doesn't mean she didn't go along, help, plan this murder of Kelsey Barrett. She was very much involved in the murder of Kelsey Barrett, but she is only getting punished for a very small portion of it. So you need to understand that, because there are a lot of people out there that want to be, they're like defending Krystal Lee in some way. And I don't know if they're defending Krystal Lee, Krystal Jean Kenney. I keep calling her Krystal Lee, KK. I should just call her KK. That keeps it above board. They're defending KK because I don't know if they're defending KK or they just don't like Dad with the phone, and that's why they're trying to say she didn't murder. She murdered right here in Woodland Park, Colorado, down the street from me. She absolutely was involved with the murder of Kelsey Barrett. 100%. I mean, actively involved, not like passively involved, not like a little bit involved, not like a little segment involved. She absolutely 100% was involved with the murder of Kelsey Barrett. And so I want to make sure everybody understands that even though she just pled guilty to a small fraction of it, that does not mean she wasn't involved in the overall scheme of everything. And so just like that Megan psycho, we'll get to Megan. We'll get to Megan Christy Rose. We will get to her. I like what Black Rose is saying right there. 100%. And I'm sorry for my head cold. I can't beat this thing. I don't know what it is. My daughter's got a head cold. I got a head cold. And so I have to make a decision about it, whether I'm going to not do any live videos because I sound like I got something stuffed up my nose, or do a live video and sound like freaking wah, 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 wah. So I apologize. Let's see. It's going around, Terry says. It's winter time. No, I know, but I don't get sick very often. Like ever. I hate getting sick. It's for the weak. It's for the little kids. I got off my rant there for a second. I didn't get back on it. I want to talk about Krystal Jean Kenney for a second. So on January 28th, she will be going before Judge Sells in District 11 of the Teller County court system. We will be there. Oh boy. I would not miss her sentencing. Now, what can happen to her on that day? I want to a lot of this is kind of going back over some things, but I'm trying to talk about the cases that interest me. Mary says she has no innocence in her. Absolutely not. She is not innocent of any of this stuff. And although she may not be found guilty on charges of actual murder, she is an actual murderer. And so, look, I'm going to speak of her as a murderer. She will never have her day in court because of the way the system works, because of the way the system is broken. But make no mistake about it, a registered nurse, someone who had I don't know if nurses have to swear to an oath, but it is kind of like an unwritten oath of doctors and nurses to protect life, that life is sacred, that there is a sacredness to life. And this woman did the opposite. She took an innocent woman's life and And she'll never face full justice for it. It sucks. It sucks. Well, I shouldn't say she would never face full justice for it. She will never face full justice on this earth at this time. But if there is justice in the afterlife, if there is justice in the age to come, if that one day she will have to stand before Kelsey's maker and answer for why she harmed one of his children, she will answer. It's hard when you think about it this way, that this murderer will continue to walk free. And there is a possibility, I think it's a slim possibility, that she may never do any time in jail. I really think that because of the severity of this crime and also the spotlight that was put on this particular case around the world, I really think she's actually going to face some jail time. Now, when we first started this and when the deal was given, there is this impression, there is this kind of implied that she may not do any jail time, even to the point where her defense team is going to try to argue that she was a victim. And this is going to piss me off, and I'm going to have to keep myself under control in that courtroom because there will be no outburst or you could be held in contempt of court. But they are going to try to defend her as a victim. And that's going to make me throw up. It's going to make me sick. And I hope Dan May objects to that kind of defense. She did steal some shit. She should be prosecuted for. That's what I don't understand is that, well, I do understand this. I want to be clear. I think Patrick Frazee and Krystal Jean, KK, Sicko, they planned the perfect murder. They did. They absolutely planned the perfect murder. The reason I know this is because Dan May has said that without KK's testimony, they would have never been able to convict anyone. In other words, on December 14th, when the FBI and the Twin Falls Police Department or the Sheriff's Department went to Krystal's house up in Twin Falls area, and they questioned Krystal, and Krystal said, "Listen, I'm going to talk to you guys, but I got to talk to my lawyer first." They kind of put some pressure on her, but if she would have stayed quiet, if she wouldn't have said anything, they would have never been able to charge Patrick or her with a crime. They were up there on December 14th. And sometime between December 14th and December 20th, her and her lawyer got together and she told some version of a story to her high-dollar lawyer out of Denver. And the lawyer concocted a scenario in which she was going to tell this story to the cops, but only after they had a signed, sealed, delivered deal from the DA. I want you to understand how important this is, because the precedent has been set that once the state signs a deal with a defendant, the only one who can back out of that deal is the defendant. It is unconstitutional. It is against the law for the DA to back out of a deal once they've made it. I know this personally because I've heard a judge say this in one of my cases. I had a deal offered to me in a case, and they wanted me to sign it. And I said I would sign it. I said, I'm going to take this deal. And trust me, the cops were happy. The DA was happy. Shit, my lawyer was happy. But I told them I didn't want to sign the deal that day. I wanted to think about it. I wanted to process it. I wanted to go through it. And then after a few days went by, I was like, I'm not signing this deal. And my lawyer got mad at me. And the DA got mad. And the judge, because the reason what had happened was I said I wasn't going to sign the deal, but the DA also said they weren't going to honor the deal. And I told my lawyer, I was like, can they do that? Can they back out of a deal? And he's like, they can't do it. And I'm going to make sure the judge forces them to take this deal. And I was like, but once she forces them to take that deal, I'm going to back out of the deal. And he's like, that doesn't matter. We want to get the judge to rule in our order. I said, fine, you argue whatever you want. And sure enough, my lawyer argued with the DA because the DA was trying to back out of this deal that they had made with me. And the judge was like, you don't get to back out the deal. You don't get to do that, Mr. DA. And so she said, I'm forcing you to honor the deal you made with Mr. Dalton. Now I turned around and said, oh, by the way, Judge, I want to back out of the deal and I want to go to trial. And the judge said, this is Michael Dalton's right. So I learned in this little segment that I had to deal with that Krystal Lee, once she had that deal with the DA, there was nothing the DA could do unless she violated certain terms of the deal. Now, she could tell them something new, or she could forget something that she said. Neither of those are reasons to violate the deal. So when she took this deal from the DA, it was like it was signed, sealed, delivered. There was nothing they could do. And they gave her the golden ticket. They gave her, basically said this: you helped murder someone, but you very possibly will just get probation. The deal that she has signed with her right now is what they call, it's a 6th-degree felony is what she signed she pled guilty to. She pled guilty to a 6th-degree felony. And I want you to understand this because this is how the court system, it's no longer about the individual charges. It's no longer about the specifics of the charge. It is simply about the degree of felony she faces. That degree of felony is lumped into a category that says she cannot be sentenced for more than 18 months in jail. But it is not required in the 6th-degree felony that she's been charged with. There is no requirement for actual jail time. She could very much get put on probation. And then if she were to violate her probation in some way, she could then do jail time. Now, the judge can very much make the decision to sentence her to jail. Now, what the DA did when they made this deal with her, they added this little bitty caveat, this little bitty check mark, this little extra. And if they can add what they call an aggravated to this charge, like she's been charged with tampering with evidence, and it's 1 count of tampering with a cell phone. So this isn't tampering with a body. This isn't tampering with a murder weapon. This isn't tampering. This is tampering, 1 count of tampering with a cell phone. This is all she's been charged with. I've actually told this story 100 times. And for all you new listeners, I want you to understand the very leniency of what she's been charged with. She's been charged with tampering with a cell phone. If you were to steal a cell phone, and you were to, not the act of stealing the cell phone, that's a misdemeanor charge. But if you were to take that cell phone and you were to sell it to a pawn shop, the act of selling stolen goods to a pawn shop is more of a crime than what Krystal Kenney was charged with. I want you to understand how little of a crime she was charged with. Tampering with a cell phone is the smallest felony she could ever be charged with in the state of Colorado. She would have been in more trouble had she took Kelsey's cell phone and tried to sell it to a pawn shop. You understand? So that's the leniency they gave her. I don't know how they came to that conclusion. I don't know the argument in which the DA had with her lawyer to come up to the conclusion of, oh, we are just going to charge her with one count of tampering with a cell phone. I don't know how they got there, but they did. So now, if they now can charge her with the aggravated on top of just tampering, it does give the judge some legal grounds, and it's all about taking the judge's handcuffs off. Right now, the only one in handcuffs is the judge, Judge Sales. Judge is under strict law that he cannot give Krystal Kenney any more time at this moment than 18 months in jail. And he doesn't get to say, like, she has to do jail time with no chance of parole. She has to do straight time. He doesn't get to do that. He could sentence her to 18 months in jail, and just because of the way the system plays out, she could be out in 10 months. She could be out in 6 months. She could be out in 2 months. And so the judge, the only one in handcuffs is the judge on what he can sentence her for. And so that sucks. It sucks that the judge is in handcuffs. But Krystal Kenney has never spent a night in jail. She was never booked in to the jail in the county in which she committed the crime. Oh, my goodness. Oh, there's a broken light. I'm trying to blow my nose. Again, I'm sorry for my head cold. If it's driving you crazy, turn me off. I just made a statement that I want to clarify. Patrick Frazee and Krystal Kenney committed a murder in Teller County, Colorado, in the town of Woodland Park. Krystal Kenney has never been booked into jail in Teller County. When she made her deal, she did what we call a walkthrough in the El Paso County Jail. Now, normally what would happen is if you were wanted on a crime, if you had a warrant out for your arrest or you had committed a crime, and even if you had committed a crime in Teller County and you turned yourself in El Paso County, the law says that El Paso County can hold you for up to 15 days until Teller County comes and picks you up. They didn't do that. She walked into the El Paso County Jail in plain clothes. She took a mugshot, had her fingerprints taken in plain clothes, and then she was released. She wasn't released on bond. She was free to leave the state, and for all intents and purposes, had never been arrested in the county in which she committed the crime. She got super special treatment. Super special treatment. They never got to take a mugshot of her in Teller County. As a matter of fact, when they went to, when the news media started asking Teller County for her mugshot, Commander Couch Patrol said, "Oh, we don't have a mugshot. You're going to have to go talk to El Paso County." This makes me sick because this is special treatment that they gave this woman. She murdered someone down the street from me and was never thrown into jail in this town, in this county. Makes me sick. So this month, January 28th, in just a few short days, she will have to go before the judge in a sentencing trial. We can only hope. I don't think it's going to happen because of, after talking to professional lawyers, after talking with some media outlets, after talking with media outlets that have talked to their lawyers. If you haven't seen the podcast in which I did with Sam Kramer, by the way, props to Sam. He's in Milwaukee now. We lost a good one, but Sam even brought this up to me. He's like, the only way they can add the aggravated charge to what she's been charged with. Remember, she's only been charged with one count of tampering with a phone. So what would be the circumstances in which they could add the aggravated charge to this particular charge? Which means she would have to have destroyed the cell phone inside Kelsey's residence, which means she would have had to destroy the cell phone there at the condo. But we know, because of the trial, because of evidence that's been brought forward, because of that kind of stuff, that she actually destroyed the cell phone up in Idaho at her house. And so I don't even know if there is legal precedent set forth for the judge to be able to take his handcuffs off and say, I want to add the aggravated charge to her sentence. And I don't know if that's going to, now there may be some legal, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. And I haven't talked to a judge about this. I have talked to lawyers about this. But the only legal precedent that may be set forward to add that aggravated is, in fact, if she destroyed that cell phone. Yes, ma'am. Yes. My little waitress is going to bring me some more coffee. I don't think that the legal precedent has been set forth so that she can be charged with that aggravated, even though they left it there. We'll find out. We'll find out on the 28th. And so it's going to be heartbreaking because the way, okay, so what will happen? So let me explain that what will happen on the 28th. They're going to sentence her. Let's say they give her the maximum sentence of 18 months. The judge can say, mandatory, I want you to do half time. I want you to do at least half of that 18 months in jail, which would be what? That's 9 months. And so she could be sentenced to 9 months in jail. What's going to take place at that sentencing hearing is going to be this. They are going to say, okay, after this is over, you need to report to probation. When she goes to probation, Most likely what they're going to do is say, okay, here's the time in which you need to report to the Teller County Jail. By the way, if she is only given 18 months, she will do all of her 18 months or whatever the time she's given in jail. She'll do all of that time in the county jail. She will never make it up to DOC. They're not going to process her through to DOC into prison. She will do like county jail time. Thank you very much. I live a very pink life. Hey, thank you for that little statement. I hope that in some weird way in the future of eternity that I get to sit down and talk with Kelsey. Not for a podcast or for any sort of accolades, simply because I can't imagine the amount of people Kelsey would have touched in her life, because I've seen the amount of people touched in her death. So when it comes to Krystal Kenney, Miss KK, the blonde heifer, she'll be sentenced. When she gets sentenced, she'll be sentenced to report. She'll be ordered to report to probation. At that time, they will make a decision whether she is booked in right then, or will she have a little bit of time to get her affairs in order. Now, it would be my hope that the judge would say, listen, but it's not even the judge's, it's not the judge's choice when she gets booked in. It actually is up to the jail. It's up to the correction facility, because once she gets booked in, it will no longer be once she gets sentenced, it'll be out of the hands of the judge. I'm having to deal with this head cold and try to do a live video. Apologies. Once she gets sentenced, it will be out of the hands of the judge. Once he lays down her sentence, it will now be on the actual correction DOC and the Teller County sheriffs and the Teller County jail to then facilitate both the timing and when she starts her sentence. And so she'll be ordered to report to probation. Probation, she will either be booked in immediately or she will be given a time and a date. And most of the time, it's like 10 days, 2 weeks. Now, that doesn't mean that the judge can't say take her into custody and then take her down to probation. But the way that they've been talking about this, you have to understand, the judge doesn't get to sentence her. The judge doesn't get to make orders based on the severity of the crime. Remember, he has to make orders based on the severity of the crime she's been charged with, not on the entire thing. Like Judge Sales knows without a doubt that Krystal Lee Kenney is a murderer. He knows this. But the problem is she has only been charged with tampering with evidence, one count of tampering with a cell phone. He doesn't get to make decisions based on his thoughts, his will, his heart. He doesn't do that. He can't do that. He has to make decisions based on the law, and the law says that this ain't a bad crime. The law says this is about the smallest crime you can be charged with when it comes to a felony. The law says that you may not even do jail time. So she'll be ordered to probation. She'll then be given a date in which she's supposed to report. It could be that day, or it could be 2 weeks down the road. We don't know. We'll find that out. And so people need to understand that this is a murderer walking around free. Right now in Idaho, there is a murderer walking the streets. Makes me sick. And I know there are murderers that are out on parole, that are out on probation, that are out on bond. But this is happening right here, and that's why we're talking about it. If you're just joining, I'm kind of just going over, well, I'm getting interrupted now.
So what?
How are you doing this morning?
Good.
You got a little head cold too?
A little bit.
Me and you both?
Yes. That way I'm not sure about going underwater without goggles in the aquatic center.
When are y'all going to the aquatic center? Are y'all talking about going swimming?
Yeah.
Right now with who?
Krystal and Oakley.
Is mom going with y'all? Oh.
Yeah, it's 2 minutes away from the aquatic center.
Gotcha. Get out of here. It's only 9 o'clock here. So good morning to you, Carrie. I know you're saying good afternoon, but it's only morning. She did not the killing, I believe, but she certainly could have stopped it. She should have. So Jeremy, because you're trying to defend her. You're trying to defend a murderer, Jeremy. You're telling me that cleaning up the scene, that burning the phone, burning the body, going to get the body, helping Patrick, having a piece of pizza while they burn Kelsey's body, that she's not a murderer? You're telling me that Cheryl Barrett is wrong when Cheryl Barrett says that Krystal Kenney is as guilty as Patrick Frazee is. She didn't just swing the belt or the bat. You're telling me all that's out the window. You're telling me, oh, she didn't do it. She could have stopped it. Oh, no. I'm not gonna let her slide that easy on Dad with the phone. That woman murdered Kelsey with Patrick Frazee. She will forever be in my book a murderer who got away with it. I'm just saying. But you can defend her all you want. You can say, oh, no, she just tampered. She murdered Kelsey. She tried to murder Kelsey 3 other times. She's a murderer. She'll always be a murderer. Okay, D-Wop, can the Barrett family file a civil suit against KK? Absolutely. I feel like it is a better option for them to file a lawsuit against Krystal Lee than it is against Patrick Frazee, because you can file a lawsuit against Patrick Frazee, but he's in jail for 200 plus years. I mean, he has life in prison plus 156 years plus 5 years, right? So to file a lawsuit against Patrick is almost a moot point. You would almost be wasting money because he's never going to have to pay you back because he's behind bars. Krystal Kenney, though, you file a lawsuit against her, you can own every horse trailer, every truck, every horse, every bit of an inheritance she may get from her family. And she comes from a wealthy family. She comes from a very wealthy family. And so, yes, I believe they will be able to file a lawsuit against her, and they will be able to file a lawsuit in civil court against Krystal, and they should. And I believe that they've already retained the rights of Perry Sanders here in Colorado Springs to file those lawsuits. So, yes. What's Red Rum saying? Stop Red Rum. I don't know who Red Rum is. Jamie's in here. But I don't know if I might have taken everybody's wrenches out. Nobody might have any more wrenches. What did Red Rum say? I don't know. I'm not reading chat. I don't know. Doesn't Patsy have an inheritance also? I don't think so. When I mean, I shouldn't say Patrick doesn't have any money, but I don't think that once he's in jail, I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know if they can't see, like, he lived with mommy. The property, according to Onyx map, according to Onyx, the property in which Patrick lived on is actually Sheila Barris. Now, if I was not Sheila Barris, Sheila Frazee, apologize. Sheila Frazee belongs to Sheila Frazee. If in fact if I was the Barrett family, I would think that I'm trying to get to I'm trying to find just a second. Let me type this in here. Florissant, Colorado. I want to go and verify this real quick. Okay. Yeah. According to Onyx map, according to the Onyx app, the property in which see that's her house. It actually says Sheila Frazee owns that. And so one thing that Patrick probably did is he probably transferred all his assets to Sheila Frazee so that he couldn't be sued for those assets. And so I would assume that he would have done that prior to being arrested and prior to being charged. As soon as all this, because he started writing notes about who could take Kaylee and all that stuff. And so when Jamie, her court date is on the 28th. Yeah, Jen B just said that. 9 a.m. in the morning. It's actually set for 2 hours. And that's you need to take note of that, because the reason it's set for 2 hours, I was there during the when they were talking about this at the last hearing she had. The reason they set it for 2 hours is because her team is going to put up a defense against the aggravated charges. They're going to bring character witnesses and letters, and they're going to take testimony for character. If you're a character witness for Krystal Kenney, you make me sick. How about that? If you're a character witness for her, you make me sick. If you think you can, I want people to understand that. First of all, let's get something straight. Krystal Kenney did not come forward of her own fruition. As a matter of fact, after she got done helping kill Kelsey Barrett, she decided to take a little vacation out to Las Vegas. She decided to go have a little party out in Vegas. She did not come forward on her own. The FBI came knocking at her door and put some pressure. So before everybody's like, oh, without her, we would never get Patrick. Absolutely. That's an absolutely true statement. But this is not a good woman. This is not a woman who saw the error of her ways and came forward. This is not a woman who was scared and came forward. This is not a woman who called up the FBI on November 23rd and said, oh my God, Patrick Frazee killed someone. This is not a woman who could have drove down from Idaho and gone straight to the Woodland Park Police Department, could have knocked on Miles DeYoung's door and said, Chief, somebody committed a murder and I know about it. This is who did it. This is the information I have. She didn't do that. This is not a good woman. Don't ever think because, oh, she testified. She was forced to testify. She's not a good person. So if you're thinking right now, maybe you're one of her character witnesses and you just happen to stumble across Dad with a phone and you're like, I'm watching Dad. I implore you to do the right thing and do not testify on behalf of Krystal Jean Kenney. If you're a character witness that is set to testify on January 28th for the convicted felon Krystal Jean Kenney to help her get a more lenient sentence, I beg you to back out. Find the decency in your heart to say, you know what? We can't change what's happened, but we will not help facilitate this murderer getting away. I beg you. I beg you. Don't testify on behalf of Krystal Jean Kenney. This woman got away with murder. No, there is no ands or buts about it. You can try to defend her in any way you think. Oh, she didn't do it. She just helped clean up. She helped facilitate. I can show you phone calls that she spent hours on with Patrick Frazee coming up to the day that he killed her. They showed in court that weeks before the murder happened, they were planning this. They showed in court that this woman came down on no less than 3 different occasions to actually facilitate the murder herself, and she just didn't do it. So there will be no defending this lady on my channel. Other channels can do that crap. Oh, you want some coffee? Look at that. Y'all got a shot of the coffee. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Whew. Actually, yeah. This woman went to a Sonic and had a foot long. I ate at that Sonic the other day. I pulled through that. I should sue Krystal Jean Kenney for the trauma that I endure every time I have to drive through the Sonic drive-thru. She should be held accountable for that. Every time that I have to go get I don't go get Starbucks. Come on, please. I was about to say every time I go through Starbucks, but come on. Sonic should sue Krystal Jean Kenney for coming to their facility after she helped kill Kelsey Barrett. Yeah, Jamie, she admitted she went to get food for her and Patrick. That's what she did. I'm not convinced that she wasn't in the room. I'm not convinced that the timeline that the DA laid forward is the exact timeline of how things went down. I'm not convinced. They didn't convince me. They convinced the jury, but that's okay. And they needed to convince a jury because that was the story they had to convince them of. But Greg Slater said it. The story that Krystal tells doesn't make any damn sense. But we have to go with this story because it's the only story we got. And so I'm not convinced that she wasn't in the room when it happened. This is just the story they got. And yes, they convicted Patrick on that story, but that doesn't mean that's the truth. You have to understand that. You really need to understand that the story that they convicted Patrick on doesn't mean that's what happened. We're talking about this woman wanted to save her ass. Save her ass. Save her whore ass. My kids are in here. I got to be careful. I need to clean my language up. I know. Pure evil. Oh, Krystal thought she was going to get a pass because all of a sudden Megan showed up in the Heidi Broussard case. Oh, Krystal thought, oh, yes, there will be another woman more hated than me. She ain't getting a pass with Dad with a phone. This case ain't over. That's why, like, people think that the Kelsey Barrett case is over. Oh, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. Don't you ever think that justice has been brought in the Kelsey Barrett case, because it hasn't. Not yet. Not yet. Where's your swimsuit, girl? Underneath. Gotcha. Look up the devil in the dictionary and you'll see KK's name. Oh. January 28th, 2020. 2020. We may finally get the chapter closed, but I don't know that we have the full story. Maybe in a couple of years, I'll write Patrick Frazee in prison. See if he'll take a visit from Dad with a phone. See if I can go down and talk to him face to face. I've had a face to face with Patrick before. I wasn't necessarily free to ask questions or try to get information from him, but I have been face to face with Patrick on more than one occasion. Maybe in the future, I'll go down and talk to him. Well, Hunter, they say that they've got some character witnesses for this woman. We have heard people get on the news. We have heard people get into on different networks and television and try to defend her character. She's a good mama. She's a good this. She's a no. She is a wolf in sheep's clothing. She is a demon in a blonde's body. She has no character. None whatsoever. And anyone who testifies to Krystal Jean Kenney's character should be charged with perjury. Anyone who stands up before a court and tries to defend her for why she shouldn't spend the rest of her life in prison commits perjury. Write a book, but don't plagiarize. That was a jab at that one lady. I don't even know her name, but the lady who wrote the Chris Watts book. That lady said she was going to write a book about Patrick Frazee too. That's what's funny. People started saying, this lady made a report that she's going to talk to Sheila Frazee. She got Sheila Frazee. She's going to do an interview with Sheila Frazee. A few days later, it comes out that she plagiarized her entire book about Chris Watts. Where's your sage at? I know, Deb. I need some sage. Where's that sage at over there? Can you bring it to me? My wife, it's funny. My wife just says, yeah, Dad needs some sage. What are you trying to say? I got a lighter.
I lost my feathers.
Me and my wife were watching this hunting video the other day, and this little Asian guy that was on a mountain lion hunt. He was obnoxious, but he was on a mountain lion hunt here in Colorado, and maybe Utah, and he got some wild sage, and was burning some sage during his mountain lion hunt. We were laughing about it, so saging myself a little bit. Y'all got a little sage going there. There you go, cats. A little sage for you. Courtney asked who she plagiarized the book from. If somebody could put up that lady's name and then who she plagiarized. She actually plagiarized another book about serial killers or something and tried to pass it off as something that she wrote herself, but she was actually plagiarizing another book. You know who did a great podcast on this? Shout out to the lawyer up in Denver, Scott Roshik. I think is his name. You can look up. I think it's Crime Talk is the name of his podcast. He actually does an interview with this lady who plagiarized, and then he does an interview with the lady that she plagiarized. Great podcast. I got mad respect for Scott. Hopefully one day me and Scott will be able to do a collab. We've been trying to get that worked out. I've talked to his producers and different stuff, and we've been talking about it. Maybe I'll reach out to him again and see if we talk before Krystal goes to court, and see if he'll do a collab, because I have some questions that he's never answered as far as like lawyer questions that I would love to get his take on. But he did an excellent podcast with that lady, and so you should check that out. He did one with both ladies. So he did one with the lady who plagiarized, and he did the one with the lady who got plagiarized. So it's a great little deal. Check it out. True Crime, I think, is or not True Crime. Yeah, Crime Talk with Scott Roshik. He's a lawyer out of Denver. So you can learn more about that story. It's a funny story altogether. But what I thought was funny was this lady then tried to come in and say she was going to do a book about Patrick Frazee, and she made this post about how she had gotten an exclusive interview with Sheila Frazee, which was not true at all. And so yeah, go check it out. I get the good sage from the reservation. My mother-in-law is 100. Hey, Jen B, come on. You got my address? Send me some. Send me some of that good sage. Did I just see Yolanda in here? I don't know. Maybe not. I thought I saw Yolanda in here, but I can't find her, what she wrote. Thanks for joining, Yolanda, if you're here. If you're not, I must be seeing things. Oh, no, she's here. Good morning. Good morning, Yolanda. Yolanda's a nurse. She's one of my nurse followers. Whew. Oh. If you're just joining, I've just been ranting. You haven't missed much. You haven't missed much. Ann K. Howard. I don't know which one that one is. Do you think KK will go to prison for 3 years? Nope, I don't. I actually don't think they will get the aggravated charge pinned on her, because the lawyers that I've talked to, the people who have dug into what it will take to add that aggravated charge, what we've understand by the reading of the law. Now, listen, I'm not a judge, and Judge Sales, I believe that Judge Sales is going to do whatever he can to give her that aggravated charge. My only problem is I think Judge Sales is the only one wearing handcuffs in this case. I think he is handcuffed by the law. And I believe, according to the law, the only way they would be able to aggravate that charge of tampering with a single count of tampering with a cell phone would be that she had to destroy the cell phone in Kelsey's house. But we already know that she didn't destroy the cell phone until she was back up in Idaho in her backyard. And so that would remove the check box, right? So to get that aggravated, to get that 3 years on KK, to be able to put her in jail for 3 years, they got to check all these check boxes to add that aggravated. And from my observation, from speaking with defense attorneys and talking with other reporters and people who have talked to their attorneys, the only way they can add that aggravated charge is if she were to do specific things around her charge. And it doesn't look like she did those things. It doesn't look like she destroyed the phone in the residence. It doesn't look, and this is stuff that is written into the law that handcuffs Judge Sales. And so he's handcuffed. He's bound by the law. And he's going to have to give legal reason if he does want to add that aggravated charge. Now, trust me. I have prayed for the very wisdom to be shed on Judge Sales so that he can find that legal loophole, so that he can find that legal reason to add that aggravated charge. Personally, I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm not the judge, so I hope I'm wrong. I hope that in this case, Dad with the phone is full of shit. I hope that the judge comes up with a reason and a legal reason to be able to add that, because he can't just say it was the judge has to follow the law. Now, if it was me, I don't give a fuck. I would take the punishment by the court system. But from what I understand, what I've watched, what I've learned is that for him to add that, there has to be very specific things that he has to go through and basically check off. And unless he can do that, he can't add that, which means she wouldn't get that 3 years. She would only get the 18 months at the max. And then on top of that, there is no requirement by the law for her to do jail time. That would be up to the judge. Now, the judge could say mandatory halftime. Like, he could give her 18 months with no less than half that time spent in jail. And that would be totally legal. So, KK was officially fired, right? She was terminated. A lot of people have contacted me and said she still has her license. She still has her nursing license. She still has her nursing license. Listen, any hospital, any doctor's office, any medical facility, anybody who would hire Krystal Kenney to be a nurse, they should be shut down. Just like anyone who would testify for the character of Krystal Kenney should be thrown in jail for perjury before they even utter a word. If someone is going to get up and testify for the character of Krystal Kenney, they should be thrown in jail for perjury, because the very idea that she has a character of any sort is crazy. So any lawyer or any hospital or any nursing doctor's office that would do this would be crazy. I don't know for a fact that she has had her nursing license revoked yet. It may not be revoked until after sentencing. I do know she's been convicted. She just hasn't been sentenced. So she's a convicted felon. And I don't know the rules of nursing. From what I've been told from nurses like Yolanda and other nurses, she should totally not have a nursing license. It should be revoked. But I don't know personally. And people have sent me like to the website and sent screenshots of the website that still say she has an active nursing license. So, but hopefully that will get rejected, revoked, whatever they got to do. But again, a word to any hospital, any doctor's office, anybody who would hire this woman as a nurse, your facility should be shut down because you didn't do your homework. You didn't do your checks. You didn't do your background checks. I would think. Well, yeah. All they have to do is Google. If you Google her name. Well, but if you're hiring a nurse, you would have to. You would think employers at this time. I think they do. The employers do. Employers do.
Background search and see if it pops up right away. Hopefully it does.
Oh, it will. I love you. Bye. See you later.
Bye. Zane's still here. He's going to the library in a little bit.
Okay.
He's going to make sure Jen is out. Nothing's out.
Okay. Heck to the no. Does anyone for Kelsey have the right to stand up and speak on her behalf? Yes, Peggy Sue. There will be, and the prosecutors made this clear that they will have what they call impact witnesses. And so I believe that both Kelsey's family will be in the courtroom and they're going to appear by phone. I believe that they asked and gave permission for a few witnesses to appear by phone to testify as impact witnesses. And what they want is they want those witnesses to impact the judge. That's exactly what they are. They're going to impact the sentencing. They want them to impact that. So yes, there will be people who testify and give a voice for the victim. And so, yes, that will happen on the 28th. And so, yes, people will stand up and speak for Kelsey. And I believe it'll be Kelsey's family. It'll be Kelsey's friends. It'll be Kelsey's aunt and different things. It's got to be hard for parents. The one thing I know, we are not the sum of our parents. And that works both ways. Like you could have been raised in the worst home. You could have been beaten by your father. You could have been abused by your mother. And you do not have to necessarily turn out as the sum of your parents. It works the other way around. You could have great parents, loving parents, compassionate parents. And you are not the sum of your parents. And though many people think that is the ultimate goal of parents, is to raise these children like better than them, or to X plus Z equals this and makes this person. But we all know that we are individual. We have individual choices. We have individual decisions that we can make. And so when I think about Krystal Jean Kenney's parents, when I think about convicted felon KK, she is not the sum of her parents. As a matter of fact, the only people that could get up and testify to KK's character that I wouldn't hold against is probably her parents. If her parents stood up and testified on her behalf or on her character, that's probably the only people that I wouldn't hold against, right? Because if one of my kids did this vile thing, I would probably stand up in court and try to give them some sort of character witness. So because the paternal love is something that cannot be measured and it cannot be hindered a lot of times, no matter what your children do, the love in your heart cannot be taken away for your children. And so I would probably give them a pass. No one else gets a pass. Everyone else, perjury. If you get up and testify for Krystal Kenney's character, you commit perjury on the stand if you say anything that she's a good person. But for the parents, I'll probably give them a pass. Yes. Does anyone live near KK? Hey, we got pictures of KK at the rodeo, at the parade. So yes, there are people that are listening right now, Christy Rose, that live in Idaho that are friends with KK. It's very possible that KK is actually listening now. And KK, I know you're pissed at me, girl. I know you're pissed at me. I'm okay. I'm okay with you being pissed. I'm going to be at your court date, girl. I'm going to watch the judge sentence you. I got to control myself a little bit. Got to control my emotions. This morning, we've been talking about convicted murderer Krystal Kenney. Now, she hasn't been convicted of murder, but she's a murderer in my book. We've convicted her here on Dad with a Phone. So, and on Dad with the Phone, I'm the judge, the jury, and the sentencer. And so, this is my channel. You are hilarious. Thank you. I try to be. It's crazy trying to be fun when you're talking about murder. It's crazy when you're trying to have, you try to put a smile on someone's face when you're trying to talk about murder. But I try. I don't know. I don't always succeed. People get pissed at me too about that. If I crack a joke while I'm talking about this stuff, people are like, you're such an insensitive bastard. But, oh well. Thank you, Katrina. You said I did an excellent job covering this case. There are some people that think I interfered. There are some people think that I did a terrible job. There are some people that think I need to get a real job. Oh, this case changed my life. Y'all realize that? A year ago, 2019, this time last year, well, let's see, what is it, January? I was already into this last year, but a few months ago, back like beginning of December, end of November 2019 or 2018. It's been 2018. I didn't even know the true crime world existed as far as on YouTube. I was creating content for corporations and for other companies and different things. But as far as getting in front of the camera and doing little podcasts here and there, very, very little had I done. I'd done some reporting about some deer crossing the road in my town. I did some reporting about some corrupt politicians and some corrupt police officers. But yeah, a year and a month ago, I wasn't doing any of this. So oh, it's been a good year. It's been an opening year for me. You can't get better than what you did covering this case. Seriously. Well, thank you. Those are kind words. Kind words. What else are we going to talk about? I could talk about KK for hours and hours and hours, but it would probably feel like hours and hours and hours. I've been on this live for an hour and 15 minutes, and I feel like it's been 5 minutes. I'm only 2 cups of coffee in this morning, so would you ever do some freelance work on videos? Absolutely. I do freelance all the time. That's what I am. I'm a freelancer. 25 years I've made a living behind the camera. You can contact me for freelance work at The Real Dad with a Phone. Why would she help? Is there a love that's great? Wait. Why would she help? Is there a love that great? Oh, are you talking about the parents maybe? Christy, yes, they let me in the courtroom. They haven't kicked me out of Krystal's case yet. They tried to kick me out of Patrick's case, but just because I wasn't in the courtroom for some of it doesn't mean I wasn't in the courtroom. And for those that watch Dad with the Phone, realize, holy shit, Dad's got people in the courtroom. Trust me. Cecilia, dad with the phone refers to him. What? I'm trying to keep up with y'all's text. Did you see I Wrote Crime Talk is by Scott Roche? He's a defense lawyer and very good. Oh, yeah, Scott. And I've actually talked with Scott via chat and text, and I've talked to his producers and stuff. And I like him, by the way. And you should go over there and subscribe to his channel and comment on his shit and tell them that Dad with the Phone sent you. So if you haven't gone over to True or Crime Talk with Scott out of Denver, you should go check him out. He does a great job. He keeps it on point. He's consistent. He's a consistent content creator, and you should definitely go check him out. You should also check out J is for Justice on YouTube, Facebook. She does a great job. Who else does a great job? That's just about it. Don't go check out anybody else. I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. But what has happened to all the true crime people on YouTube? That's a call out to all the true crime creators. You've all turned into drama creators. It's turned into drama shit. And listen, drama's good. Everybody needs a little drama in their life. But man, what happened to all the real true crime? When I started this about a year and a few months ago, when this whole thing kicked off with the Kelsey Barrett case, there were like a ton of true crime creators. But to this very day, it just seems like they're all gone and they've turned into like drama creators. It's all turned into bullshit drama on YouTube. There's no true crime people out there. And listen, I get written, let's say 12 messages a day. And that's probably being rather conservative on the number. There are some days I get 24 messages a day, or 36. I get I get 12 messages a day about new crimes, about new cases that people want me to follow. I have talked about this before. Although I have enjoyed this true crime stuff, and although I feel like I do have a passion for it, I think I'm humbled, but I'm also I take pride in the talent that I think I have for this true crime world. When you cover real life cases, when you cover cases that are unfolding right in front of us, like the Kelsey Barrett case or the Heidi Broussard case or the Jepsy case, when you cover these real things happening, it is super draining, not only on me, but it's draining on my family. It's draining on my life. It's draining on my, I have to think about what's happening in my own children's life when they think about and talk about, when they hear me talk about this stuff. And so, although I would love to sit here all day long, 24 hours a day, and bring awareness to other cases that are happening, missing people that are happening, all of that stuff, it's hard. It's stressful. There have been times when I have felt literally drained. There have been times this year that I've wanted to hang it up, that I've wanted to shut down my Facebook, shut down my YouTube. It hurts when you start talking about real people. It hurts like inside my heart. My heart hurts. My spirit hurts. My soul hurts. And so a couple of things I want to tell you, though. And this is the way you as listeners, everybody on the other side of this camera can get involved. If you'll go over to Facebook, you might be on Facebook right now. If you're on Facebook, there are two things you can do. One, follow my Dad with the Phone page. The page, go like and follow my Dad with the Phone page on Facebook. But more than that, go join the Dad with the Phone group. There's a lot of groups on Facebook. And I have said this, that when there's tragedy in the streets, when there's blood on the streets, that people just create these Facebook groups. I am not going to create a group for every case that comes up. So I created a Dad with the Phone group. It is monitored by people and admin by people. But one thing that I want to give you permission, I give you permission to do is, if there is a case if there is a missing person, if there is something that you want to bring to the Dad with the Phone group or people, then go join the group and share that on the Dad with the Phone group on Facebook. Social media is going to change. It has already changed the game when it comes to true crime, when it comes to these cases, and people from around the world have recognized this. And so go share those missing people and cases that you would even want me to talk about, that you message me about. And don't stop sending your messages, because there's going to be another case that comes across my message box that I pick up. There are going to be other things that I pick up and talk about, but I'm not going to be able to talk about every last one of them. Again, I do have to pay my bills, and so I do have to go do some work outside of this. Maybe one day this will pay my bills, but it doesn't. And so I have to go do other stuff. But if there is something you want to bring awareness to, I would tell you that you could go share that on the Dad with the Phone group on Facebook. Go follow me on my page. Two different things. There's a Dad with the Phone page and a Dad with the Phone group. Go follow those and share those cases. If you want to get involved, you can always email me at or direct message me on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube at these links below. You can take a screenshot of that right now, so you don't have to. I'm not going to keep it up for long, so you can screenshot those links if you want to reach out to me. I actually give out my personal cell phone. It's a burner phone. It's not like I have another personal cell phone, but the cell phone that I give out is one that I still use. And so if you want to call me and leave a voicemail about a case, if you want to call me and leave a comment about something, you can do that on that actual cell phone number, right? You can leave me a message. You can personally, I get that message. Now, I will tell you that if you leave a voicemail and I find it to be entertaining, I may share that message with the world. So just so you know, that's my little disclaimer. If you do want me to do this more and you want to pay my bills, you can always donate to my PayPal directly, but I'm telling you, and I'm telling all the haters out there, you don't have to give me a dime and I'm still going to do this. But if for some reason somebody lays it on your heart, or you feel like, hey, I can give Dad a couple of bucks. And I will tell you that when people donate to my PayPal, I feel obligated to continue. There's an obligation. Like if someone's willing to buy me a cup of coffee and they want me to talk about this shit, for some reason, when I receive a little notification, oh, somebody sent $20 or $5 or $10, there is this obligation inside me that's like, I got to give these people more. I need to talk about these cases more. So if you want to donate, you can donate directly to that PayPal, but don't feel obligated at all. I am well taken care of. I am blessed. Don't go second mortgage your house to give to me. So that's all I'll say about all of that. Thank you guys for joining today. I will be back today. I will do more live videos today. I will talk about more today. I've been going for an hour and 30 minutes, and there you go. There you go. I'll give you some quick updates, just a recap. KK goes to court on January 28th at 9 o'clock. That court date is set for 2 hours. This is her sentencing. They will sentence KK on January 28th, 2020. Megan Firmunga, I don't know her name. The devil Megan, the other devil Megan, she goes to court for the first time on February 3rd. They have postponed her court date out in the Heidi Brizard case, but Megan, the devil, will go to court on February 3rd. We will follow that case. People have asked me about that. I am going to follow the Heidi Brizard case all the way through, whether it goes to trial, whether she makes a plea deal. If she goes to trial, I am in the works to be down there in Austin during the trial. So I will be live in Austin, reporting to you live on Facebook, YouTube about the trial from a firsthand experience. That is already in the works. People that follow Dad with the Phone have opened their homes. There are people that said they will write the check for the plane ticket. They will write the check for the expenses. And so I will give others an opportunity to give to that if that happens. She hasn't yet even pled in this case. So we don't know what's going to happen in that Heidi Brizard case, but I'm going to follow it all the way through. Other than that, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining. You guys are awesome. We'll see ya. Thank you. Yes, D Clue Girl. You have donated, and that's much appreciated. And others have donated, and that's much appreciated. I love you guys. We'll talk to you later.